Welcome, everyone, to this 2023 annual celebration. I've seen a lot of familiar faces already who have been at other ALS events, from Lou Gehrig Day to luncheons, and I'd like to thank all of you who have been with us before, and also say a warm welcome to all of you who are first-timers, those of you who are just becoming acquainted with the fight against ALS. My name is Scott Palmer. I'm an ambassador with the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'd like to officially welcome you to the first annual celebration for ALS United Mid-Atlantic. As of September 1st, 2023, the Greater Philadelphia chapter and 14 other chapters, by the way, legally separated as members of the ALS Association. As you will see throughout this incredible program, the mission and work of the team at ALS United Mid-Atlantic is as strong and as capable as ever. And that is thanks to the support of people like all of you who are at this luncheon this afternoon. This has been an incredible year for so many of us here, including significant progress for the ALS cause. That includes expanded access for care programs, increases in funding through ALS advocacy, and another treatment for ALS approved by the FDA. That marks, folks, 3 new treatments approved since 2017, which brings us to 4 treatments available for ALS. And that is really good news. And you are actually applauding yourselves, thankfully, because it's because of all of you who make this possible with your support through events like this. This has also been another amazing year for our friends at the Philadelphia Phillies. Things have been good at Citizens Bank Park. No, we didn't get all the way. That's our goal every year. It's really tough to get there. Hopefully, we will this season. But I can tell you, it is gratifying and uplifting to be a member of a ball club that when you go to spring training, you have a chance to play in October. And that is as much more for all of you fans than it is for us. And as remarkable as the team was again on the field, and fans were unbelievable, best fans of baseball without a doubt. There's another segment of my Phillies family I'd like to recognize, and that's the part of our team that doesn't wear a uniform. That's the part of our team that makes Citizens Bank Park a destination. The best place to watch a baseball game in America, I think, and I'm sure all of you probably agree. And that's because of the hard work that really goes unnoticed by the fans who come into the ballpark. But all of us in the front office, see it every day. And it's in large part because of some of the members of the Phillies who are sitting at this table right here. I'd like them to stand up and be recognized for all of their hard work, because they never really get the recognition they deserve. Obviously, it's the players we concentrate on and the players we love, but these folks right here are responsible for the great times you have at Citizens Bank Park. As you take your seats, I'd like to recognize some special guests who are here with us today, including Tim Kurkjian from ESPN, who will be speaking later in the program, and his son Jeff, who is a radio host here in Philadelphia. Tim has had a long and illustrious career writing about baseball and broadcasting baseball since 1978, including working with ESPN over the past 25 years, and last year was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. So congratulations again. What a wonderful honor, Tim. And as much as he loves baseball, he cares, as all of us do, even more about our families. Tim's brother, Matt, was diagnosed with ALS in the summer of 2021. Matt passed away on September 6th of this year with his children, Michael and Lane, his partner, Catherine, and Tim by his side. Our hearts go out to you and your family, Tim and Jeff. I want to recognize a Phillies great who is with us today, National League champion and National League All-Star, and I can only introduce him one way since I grew up with Harry Callis. Mickey Morandini. Mickey and his wife Peg are here. Folks, today would not be possible without our many generous sponsors. So thank you to our presenting hero sponsors, Billy Lake Research Fund and the Philadelphia Phillies. Thank you as well to our visionary sponsors, Conservest Capital Advisors, the Farber Family Foundation, Parks Casino, and John and Loretta Russo, as well as to our mission advanced sponsors, BDO and Citizens. Please give them all a hand. We'd also like to extend a sincere thank you to our event co-chairs, Patty Lake Quinn and Dan Quinn, our board of directors, the event committee, and many volunteers and staff. Before we go any farther, I'd also like to introduce to you a familiar face if you watch morning television. He works at Channel 10, and I wake up to his weather forecast every morning. Please welcome Bill Henley, our great friend from ALS and Channel 10. Thanks, Bill. We have a wonderful program for all of you today. It includes a focus on the Flame of Hope Awards for ALS care, advocacy, and research and innovation. Plus, special stories to highlight the mission of ALS United Mid-Atlantic. Do not forget to get your raffle tickets. Tickets are on sale now at the registration table, but you guys are in now, so we're all good. But they will be coming around to the tables during lunch. And these are some pretty cool prizes for the raffle winners. They include 4 Diamond Club seats to see the Phillies on opening day against the Atlanta Braves. Well, that's a great one to win. That's March 28th, 2024, by the way. Also, a week at an Ocean City, Maryland condo vacation for up to 11 guests and a 2-night stay for 2 right here at Lowe's. And this is a fabulous hotel. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to stay here overnight or for a longer stay, but this hotel and the staff are just outstanding. Remember, your raffle ticket purchase helps advance our ALS programs and research. Next year is going to be special around here. It'll mark 40 years of the Philadelphia Phillies' commitment to the ALS cause. There is no comparison in all of professional sports. Now, to talk more about this, I'd like to welcome Board Chair Dan Quinn and Board Chair Emeritus Ellen Phillips. Together they have over, hold your applause for 1 second because this is remarkable. Ellen, you can keep coming, it's all good. But these folks together have more than 70 years of experience focused on caring for ALS families and investing in ALS research. Please welcome them, Dan and Ellen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. Thank you to the Phillies, and thank you to all of you who are here to support our ALS mission. For many of us here, fighting ALS is a life's work. Along with my wife, Patty, we have been involved for over 30 years fighting Lou Gehrig's disease through the Billy Lake ALS Research Fund and through the Billy Lake Basketball Marathon, which we just celebrated our 31st year. Billy was married to Patty, and along with their 4 children, passed away in 1992. That's really hard to believe. It's been that long. But ever since, we've been committed to working to find a cure for ALS and to get rid of this once and for all. Today I am proud to serve as the board chair for ALS United Mid-Atlantic. I don't want to brag, but that makes me the first board chair for ALS United Mid-Atlantic. I finally got one over on Ellen Phillips, so I'm very happy about that. While our name is new, you can see our commitment to the best in ALS care, advocacy, and research is long-lasting. When families come to us with an an ALS diagnosis, they know that they are in good hands with over decades of service to the ALS cause and to help them through their journey. Our look may be different, but our commitment is stronger than ever. We made an amazing progress over the last few years, and now we are determined to do even more, but we cannot do it without your continued support. Thank you to the volunteers, the donors, the sponsors, our spectacular board members, our dedicated staff, and everyone else who has stuck by us, particularly in this time of change. One group that has shown unparalleled support for our ALS families has been our friends at the Philadelphia Phillies. As amazing as they are and have been on the field, their work in the community is even more incredible, especially when it comes to their efforts to strike out ALS. The Phillies set an example for the entire country, as now all of Major League Baseball celebrates Lou Gehrig's Day, but nobody does it like the Phillies. And nobody knows that better than my dear friend and Board Chair Emeritus Ellen Phillips. Ellen?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for your leadership. You and Patty have done so much for ALS United Mid-Atlantic. I want to give yet another thank you to Scott Palmer, who has been an important part of the Philly support for our ALS families for so very long. Thank you for giving your voice to this event. There you are. When my husband Alan was diagnosed with ALS in December 1982, there were no drugs approved, few resources, and few doctors with expertise in ALS. We didn't know where to go, who to talk to. We felt helpless. But hope was on the horizon when we found, almost by accident, a support group that was at the home of Dottie and Ben Orenstein. Dottie's skills as a social worker were extremely helpful, and Ben's knowledge about ALS, which kept growing, helped to soothe our concerns. And I'm so glad that Dottie and Ben are with us today. In July 1983, an article appeared in the Inquirer entitled "The Pain of Creeping Helplessness," and it featured myself, my husband Alan, and our daughter, who was 2 years old at the time, Amy. This led to my remarkable mother, Malvina Charlstein, meeting Nancy Giles, and in 1984, the Phillies adopted our cause. First, there was a fashion show, and Scott, I'm leaving it up to you to discuss that just briefly when you come back up. I believe you were in the fashion show. That was followed by the Phillies autograph party and auction, then the Phillies Festival, and now Lou Gehrig Day. Since that time, over $22 million has been raised to provide care services and funds for research and advocacy to strike out ALS. When Billy Lake was diagnosed, roughly 10 years later, there still weren't any approved treatments from the FDA. But as we heard Scott say, we now have 4. The Phillies are extremely hands-on, and they cannot do enough for our families and organization. And we've already had them introduced, but I would also like to say that our leader for the Phillies Charities Group is sitting right there. He cries every once in a while. John, it must be John Weber. And we love that he cares so much about the organization. When I tell my peers about how active the Phillies are with ALS and ask how their teams are working with them, I was told, "You know, Ellen, no one's like the Phillies." Yeah, I know that. The Phillies don't just raise millions of dollars for us. They have brought credibility to the cause and have allowed us to expand and reach out for care. Today, nearly 40 years after Allen's battle became the Phillies fight, ALS United Mid-Atlantic serves over 1,200 people with ALS each year across 8 multidisciplinary centers. And as I said, now there are 4 treatments and hopefully more to help patients, including the 2 that were approved by the FDA just last year. This progress is incredible and only possible due to the support from the Phillies and every one of you here today. To show just how significant the relationship is with the Phillies, we invite you to watch this video.
The ALS Association has been the Phillies' principal charity for almost 40 years. Like most relationships within the Phillies organization, the members and patients of the Greater Philadelphia chapter have become an extension of the Phillies family.
The Phillies' involvement with the patients means so much to them. You have the Phillies team behind you. The whole Phillies organization welcomes you when you come here.
Over the years, we've met wonderful people through the ALS Association, the patients, their courage, their fight. It's really something awesome to witness and to be a part of.
The ALS Association has always insisted that ALS belongs in baseball.
The publicity that we will gain from having Lou Gehrig Day is immeasurable.
The more awareness we can spread, and I think it's great that MLB is doing that, and the Lou Gehrig Day was awesome last year, and I think that we can get it bigger. The more we can do that, the better it is for everybody.
This thing seems to be getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Hopefully we can continue it and it can continue to grow.
Our hope is the Phillies organization will continue to shine a bright light on the Philadelphia chapter of the ALS Association and all the good work that they do.
The Phillies and the ALS Association are eager to forge ahead and reach new milestones in the fight against ALS.
On behalf of the Phillies, thank you. Thank you to the staff that really make it work. And Ellen is right, I do cry. But ALS, I was fortunate enough in 1989 to be called into a meeting. And since 1989, I'm a better person because of being in those meetings and meeting the ALS patients, their families, the courage and the tenacity in which those families and the patients fight. It's amazing. It really is. And we as an organization are so proud from top to the bottom, from John Middleton, Dave Buck, to everybody down to my interns who know what ALS is, who know that it's a cause that's deep in the Phillies community, our community partners, Citizens Bank, and so many others are involved as well. So, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor as an organization that we've raised $408,000 this past year, that we've almost raised almost 23, Ellen. I know she said over 22, but I think it's almost 23. So we'll be over 23 by next year. So on behalf of the entire Phillies organization, thank you for your support for being here. Thank you for going to a walk. I see there's about 8 walks in Ellen's program book there. So, it's incredible the work that the ALS Association does. It'll take me a little time to get used to the new name, so just give me some patience there. But thank you on behalf of the Phillies organization for being here and being in this fight with us. Thank you.
I'm not sure you can see, but behind Guy's head, oh, there he goes, this is a Phillies wheelchair that we were given at a game, that he was given at a game, and was donated by the wheelchair company.
I've been a part of some team pictures all the way back from Little League, but this is one of the coolest, it really is, to be with these people. And Guy, it's so great to see you. We had a chance to chat back in the other room a little while ago, and to see you in your Phillies chair and the gift from Permobile. You look great. You look great. And by the way, we should also mention this gentleman is a culinary chef, and he is responsible for these wonderful chocolates that are at your table. How cool is that? Made for Guy Dunnigan for ALS United Mid-Atlantic. Guy also does a lot of work for the veterans with chocolates, and your chef skills are very much appreciated today, and we want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much, guys. Great to have you here. Did you want to say something here? You sure?
Yeah, I want to thank.
Here, go ahead. I'll just do this so we're good.
I want to thank the Phillies organization for their support for 39 years. It means so much to the families for all they've done. They've helped our family and in numerous ways, way too many to mention. I want to thank the ALS United Mid-Atlantic chapter for all they've done for us, Permobile for the wheelchair, and Live Like Lou, which is another organization that also helps ALS patients. The Phillies have done so much for all these years. It's really a credit to that organization for all they do. They have the Fanatic come out and support the holiday events, which means so much to the families and the kids. And I can't tell you how much they've done for us.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Guy. Jeff Kirchen, could you come on up? Everybody welcome Jeff Kirchen. Hi, Jeff. It's great to finally meet you. Thank you. Jeff shares his voice most mornings on WXTU radio. Yes, he's a radio guy here in Philadelphia. He's a co-host of the Andy Summers Show. He has over a decade of experience in radio, and this past summer welcomed his first child with his wife, Emily. Congratulations. It's outstanding. Jeff is joining me here to introduce his father, Tim. If you looked in your program book, you'll see that Tim was scheduled to speak later in today's program, but he is traveling today for a celebration of life for his brother, who, as we said earlier, passed away from ALS, making this event even more personal to him. We're so glad that he could make the time to be with us today. And you've got some thoughts about your dad. Please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My dad, his brother was diagnosed with ALS in 2021. My Uncle Matt lived 2 streets down from me. He was like another father. And my father, like so many other families in this community, became a caretaker. So on top of seeing him on Baseball Tonight, or hearing him on a podcast, or getting inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, he was spending overnights at my uncle's house, going to doctor's appointments, and taking care of his brother. This is the community that nobody wants to be a part of, but we are so blessed to have each other. My father is my personal and my professional hero. Before my uncle was diagnosed with ALS, his mother was diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's, and he took care of her for 10 years. I hope to be half the man, the father, the broadcaster, the human being that my dad is. And I'm so honored to now be in the Delaware Valley, a member of the broadcast team at XTU, but more importantly, to be a member of this incredible organization now. And I am so honored to introduce my father as today's featured speaker, ESPN's Tim Kirchen.
Well, as you can see, I gave my son 2 gifts, the gift of height and the gift of this ridiculous voice. I'm not sure either one of them is a gift, and this is the first time I've ever been moved up in the batting order in my career, that's for sure. My brother Matt was a little guy, too. He was my best friend. We were born in the same year, 11 months apart, 1956. So we were in all of the same classes together. We were on all the same sports teams together. We both attended Walter Johnson High School, named after the greatest pitcher of all time. I wrote for the school paper. It was called The Pitch. I did some work for the yearbook. It was called The Windup. And we both played baseball there. And my senior year, my brother Matt was named the MVP of the team, and he won the Spartan Award, which is given to the best teammate on the team. No one's ever won both of those awards except for my brother. He played 4 years at Catholic University. In 1977, that team came 2 wins away from going to the College World Series at Omaha, and my brother was the heart and soul of that team. Val Vandeventer, a center fielder on his team, said, if we had 9 Matt Kirkchens on our team, we would win every game. My brother could run. He could hit. He was a great defensive third baseman. He could really throw. He was Mickey Morandini, just not as good. And my brother also pulled an unassisted triple play in his career, as did Mickey Morandini. A few years ago, though, Matt called me and said, there's something wrong with my hand. I can't figure it out. So he asked me to come over and play catch in his front yard. How many times do we do that as kids? So I went over, and he had trouble throwing a baseball. And this is a guy with a major league throwing arm. So we worked on it, and a few months later, he was asked to throw out the first ball at Catholic University's only fall date of the year, a doubleheader at Mount St. Mary's. And Matt relearned how to throw a baseball because he could no longer grip it. When he got to the ballpark, the coach, Ross Natoli, gave him a Catholic University jersey with his name on the back, M. Kirkchen, and number 2, which is the number he wore for 4 years. My brother, with ALS, went to the mound and threw an athletic strike to the plate. And then he looked to his left, and his entire immediate family were all wearing Catholic University jerseys with M. Kirkchen 2 on the back. And then he looked further to his left, and the entire Catholic University team, all 48 players, were all wearing Catholic University jerseys with M. Kirkchen 2 on the back. And that's the first time I'd seen him cry since this ordeal began. And he said, I can't believe they are doing this for me. Well, I believe it because that's the kind of guy my brother was. And a few months later, he threw out the first ball again at a Catholic University game, this time surrounded by that 1977 team. And again, with ALS, he threw an athletic strike to the plate. A few months after that, I threw out the first ball at a Washington Nationals game, and my brother caught it. He couldn't even put a glove on his hand because his hand no longer worked. And he figured out how to put a glove on, and from 45 feet away, I threw it firmly to the plate, and he caught it right here, just like a ball player. I told that to the doctors at Georgetown, and they were astonished. And they showed that video to every one of their patients, that this is what you can do when you work hard enough and you're as diligent as my brother was fighting this disease. And he was so strong at this that the Catholic University program recently named him there's an annual Matt Kirkchen Ultimate Teammate Award, which is presented to the teammate that presents and personifies what a great teammate should be. And that was all because of my brother, because he's the greatest teammate ever. And on the Catholic University outfield wall is his name and his number with the ALS notation. That's what my brother got through, and I could not be more proud of him. It has been a brutal last 2 months and a terrible last 2 years. But all the people that I've met along the way has made it a little bit more palpable because it has been so difficult. I met so many people here. I met people all across the country who shared this. And I met a woman in Las Vegas who told me once, she said, she lost her mother and her father to ALS. She said, this is the worst disease ever, but it has the greatest support system ever. So thank you to everyone who came here today to support the ALS Foundation and everything to do with it. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to go home now, and I'm going to celebrate my brother's life. And it was a life very much worth celebrating. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for those heartfelt words and the great introduction by your son, Jeff. You should be so proud of him, and I know how proud you are of Pops. It really does take a team effort, and this is the last team that you ever want to be a part of, but as you know, it's a team that welcomes you, and our hearts are with you, especially in the next 2 days. Thank you. Give them another round of applause. Okay, they are, I believe, ready to start serving lunch. We still have a few minutes to get your raffle tickets, so please look for the raffle sellers throughout the room. Also, don't forget to share any photos that you take today and tag us on social media. The way you do that is at, all one word, ALS Mid-Atlantic. Following lunch, we'll share the powerful Flame of Hope Awards. So it looks like they are getting in place. And we will be serving lunch, and then we'll get on with our program. So thank you, everybody. Today's event does shine a spotlight on our mission. The programs at ALS United Mid-Atlantic include ALS treatment centers, in-home, resource groups, assisted technology, ramping, and home modifications, and more. A guy was just telling me how they ramped his home and made it much easier to get in and out. Here to talk about this commitment to care are two people with personal connections to ALS, nurse Kirsty Keebaugh and Gary Goldstein, followed by our Flame of Hope for ALS Care, which will be presented by nurse Gail Hausman and Kelly Slipikoff. So we'll ask you all to come up to the podium. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. I'm fine, thank you. Oh, thank you. How are you, sir? I'm good. Thanks, Gary.
Good afternoon. My name is Kirsty Keebaugh. I am one of the staff nurses here at ALS United Mid-Atlantic. With almost a year with this wonderful organization, I can truly say this was my calling. ALS is not just a diagnosis I treat patients for. ALS is a bit more personal to me. In May 2018, I lost my Uncle Rob after a short 1.5 years of his courageous battle with ALS. From the day he was diagnosed to the day we said our goodbyes to him, we had an entire team stand behind us through it all. This team was united to care for him at Hershey Medical Center, Penn State. From diagnosis day with Dr. Simmons, to his visits at the Hershey Clinic with his personal nurse, Maureen Reed, and to the countless volunteers, which some you will hear share their stories today, including Gary, we couldn't have picked a better team to support our family during that difficult time. Knowing the support they gave our family, it inspired me, and I wanted to do the same for other families, so that is why I'm here today. Not only as a family member of an ALS patient, but as an ALS nurse. When you are battling ALS, you are not alone. There's an entire team behind you. We work together, from the neurologists to the therapists to the nurses and to our social workers. We are in this together to provide the best care, in which has been true since our founding days back in 1977. Our team has decades of experience, and I look forward to continuing this care for many more decades to come. Personally, I want to thank all of you for making this possible for us to deliver the professional and compassionate care to all past and present patients with ALS.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Goldstein, and I'm a surviving spouse. My wife Paula passed away from ALS in 2013 after a 3.5-year battle with the disease. In addition to being her spouse, I was her primary caregiver. Whether you're a patient going through ALS, a caregiver for somebody with ALS, or a family member, you will often feel like you're on a deserted island and you're all alone. We were going through this prior to the Ice Bucket Challenge, so many people didn't know what ALS was, didn't understand ALS, and didn't know what it meant. Well-intended neighbors and friends would stop by and they'd say, "How's Paula doing? How's she feeling? Is she getting better?" They didn't understand. There is no getting better. But in reality, you're not alone, especially if you live in the greater Philadelphia area, because there's an organization that's there to help you, and a group within that organization. It's the ALS United. And all you need to do is call one number, and you will talk to somebody in the care services group, and they're there to help you. They're there to provide support because they really understand what you're going through. They understand what you're battling. And they'll give you support, whether it's just to be an ear to listen, or whether it's to be give you information and knowledge about ALS and about the research that's taking place, or whether it's to talk about equipment they can loan you so that it makes your life easier, or sometimes it's just to be a shoulder that you can cry on. I don't think that Paul and I could have made it through our 3.5-year battle if we didn't have that group to rely on and to lean on. And it was during this time that I realized I wanted to be part of that group. I wanted to be there to help people with ALS and other family members, just as these folks were there to help us. So for the past 10 years, since Paula passed away, I've been an active volunteer with ALS United. And over that time, I have been able to pay back and help other people with ALS and their families. That's why I'm a volunteer and an advocate for people with ALS. And that's why we are united to provide the best in care for all people with ALS. To see just how important and meaningful care can be, please join us and watch this video.
My father, Charles Schwartz, developed ALS around 1982. I'm a retired librarian, so when librarians have a problem, we study it and we look up for information. And I was really relieved and happy to find the ALS chapter based in Philadelphia.
My first meeting with Valerie was here because we started a support group. Her experience with her father made her very tuned in to that. And she's a very giving person.
Here at ALS United Mid-Atlantic, none of our patients are a number. We care for over 1,200 people with ALS every year, and every one of them is a name and a person. And Valerie is such a great example of that with the way that she comes to support people who are living with ALS as a visiting volunteer.
The Visiting Volunteer Program really wants you to be a listener, a friend, and someone who really pays attention and supports people by just being with them. I've been a volunteer for just about a little bit short of 20 years. I've had a number of people that I was with, but Therese Decker and I have been together the longest. We've been tolerating each other for 15 years.
Not only we tolerate each other, we have a friendship. She is engaged in my life totally. Without her, I would not be able to be here.
I admire her to a great degree, and I believe that her being one of the people awarded is absolutely well-deserved.
I'm lucky that she's my friend, and I think the chapter has been very fortunate in having her as a volunteer.
If anyone deserves it is that you want to go to her for absolutely sure.
It's been an experience that's helped me, I think, more than maybe it's helped other people. And I feel that I've kind of maybe carried out some of the wishes that my father had. He really impressed me with how you don't have to do something major in your life to make a difference.
Valerie Schwartz is an ALS United Mid-Atlantic rock star. As a volunteer, she's done it all. She's been a board member, a community ambassador. Valerie answered the phone calls that came in when our organization was just getting started. Often, Valerie was the first person to speak with people who were newly diagnosed. Valerie co-chaired the first Care Services Committee with Dottie. This led to many of our patient care programs that are still in existence today, including our in-home care program, our transportation program, and our equipment loan closets. But she's been a visiting volunteer for the last 20 years, having befriended and helped 4 people with ALS, including Dr. Teresa Decker, since 2010. Valerie is the real deal in supporting our mission to be of help to people with ALS and their loved ones. It is my genuine honor to present the much-deserved Flame of Hope Award for Care Services to Valerie Schwartz. Presented by Kelly Slipikoff.
Thank you, Kelly. Hold on to it for me? Yes, please. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I really, in a sense, am not the one who has been carrying the flame of hope all these years. The people who really I need to thank and who made it possible for me to get this award are all the patients and caregivers and family members whom I've had the privilege of knowing over the last 40 years. And they've let me into their lives for a brief period at a time in their lives that was probably the most difficult and challenging. And I really thank them for that. I have learned so much and earned so much from the people that I've had contact with. I've witnessed so much courage and caring, thoughtfulness, graciousness, love, people who were able to enjoy every day and not fear the future, and in many cases, not fear death. And I hope that some of that has rubbed off on me over these years. So they're the ones who really have been carrying the flame of hope all these years and are continue to carry it into the future. And flames eventually die out and they extinguish. And I hope someday this flame dies out, not because we've lost hope, but because of all the people, not just here, but all over the world, who are working to understand ALS and to find a cure for it. And they'll be the ones that will extinguish the flame because ALS has been extinguished. So I thank you all for being part of this. Thank you. I really feel that way. Oh, thank you. So I'll carry this flame of hope in my dad's memory, and also with the hope that someday we will all be back in this room with fantastic celebration because ALS is no more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Valerie, congratulations. Kelly, Gail, thank you very much. Now, to demonstrate the unity around the region for the ALS cause through advocacy, please welcome Pennsylvania State Representative Kyle Mullins, Delaware State Senator Stephanie Hansen, and a video with New Jersey State Senator Troy Singleton. Together, they will introduce Nurse Sue Walsh as she presents the Flame of Hope for ALS advocacy.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today and giving me a few minutes to talk about what Delaware has been doing to assist patients and families living with ALS. I'm here today as a Delaware State Senator, but also as a member of a club that no one wants to belong to, none of us want to belong to. In 2005, I lost my father, my rock, Lowell Thomas, to ALS. Going through that process was excruciating and debilitating for everyone, and his loss is still felt, deeply felt, 18 years later. My mother, Sarah Lee Thomas, is here with me today to take part in this event and to show her support. A lot of times you want to take an opportunity to really do something and feel productive in the face of such a debilitating and devastating event in your life and the life of a loved one. At the time when my father was diagnosed, I formed a group made up of other families dealing with ALS, with MS, other neurodegenerative diseases, and we formed a group called Stem Cell Go. And we worked with the legislature in order to draft a bill that would encourage and enable stem cell therapies in the state of Delaware. And so we worked very hard on the bill, phone calls, got a lot of support for it. On the day of my father's funeral, after the funeral was over, the bill came up on the floor of the Senate, the Delaware State Senate. And I traveled up to the state capitol and I testified, and it passed. It passed. You know, knowing now, being a state senator and seeing how testimony moves the lawmakers on the floor, I can see why it passed. But it passed in the Senate. A couple of weeks later, it came up in the House, but it was conflated with issues of abortion in a chamber that was not democratically controlled, and it did not pass. So it was a great disappointment for the families and the members of Stem Cell Go. We sort of disbanded. 12 years later, the House has flipped, and the Senate actually faced the possibility of a change in power for the first time in 40 years. We have 21 state senators, 10 were Republican, 10 were Democrat, and there was an open seat. And this was the first election after the 2016 presidential election, so a lot of eyes were on, well, what's going to be happening as a result of what was happening federally. And I thought, you know, over my dead body, am I going to let that chamber flip? And so I ran. And I ran hard. And we won. And we have stayed democratically controlled since that time. And in that time, I have now been able to work with my colleagues in the House and colleagues in the Senate to work on support for ALS and other degenerative diseases throughout our time that we've been there. I've worked closely with Alex Mackler, whose late father's battle with ALS was featured on 60 Minutes, and whose family has championed new advances and new technologies to assist people diagnosed with ALS. We're all proud of the ALS Association's Scott A. Mackler Assistive Technology Program, which loans assistive technology devices to residents with ALS. It was also the president from Delaware, Joe Biden, that in 2021 signed into law the Accelerating Access to Critical Therapies for ALS Act. This critical federal law is directing immense resources on the development of new drugs for ALS patients and helping those patients access new therapies. It requires the Department of Health and Human Development to implement a public-private partnership program to advance the understanding of ALS and other neurodegenerative diseases and develop treatments, implement a 5-year action plan to foster drug development, and facilitate access to investigational drugs for treatment. Last year, I was the co-sponsor of a bill in Delaware to establish the Delaware Rare Disease Advisory Council, which, among other things, is intended to encourage and secure funding for the development of new treatments for rare diseases such as ALS and educate our medical professionals, government agencies, legislators, and the public. And it's my colleagues and I in the Delaware General Assembly who have voted each year in the last 9 years to fully fund the ALS Association's grant request for their amazing care services program. State support that has totaled close to $300,000. Delaware's commitment to the ALS Association has deep and personal roots in our small state. And it's my honor to join all of you here today to show our continued support for your mission and the families who depend on your good work. The efforts of the ALS Association and other entities that support and advocate for families affected by ALS is matched only by the compassion and care of the caretakers who bring comfort to those impacted on a daily basis. And for them, we are beyond grateful. Thank you.
Hello, this is New Jersey State Senator Troy Singleton. Let me first begin by apologizing for not being able to be with you in person today. The ALS of Greater Philadelphia and my office and me personally have had such a long association together, and the work that we've done to add resources to fight this dreaded disease has truly been a rewarding partnership for me. The work that we've done and the help that this organization has provided to me with counsel as well as guidance as we seek to provide greater policy initiatives and financial resources to combat this dreaded disease has been instrumental in our efforts to work together. I want to thank you again for allowing me to just spend a few minutes to talk to you about why your work is so important and how the lives you changed. My life was touched by Milt. Milt was an ALS fighter who lost his life to this dreaded disease and taught me so much in the brief period of time that we were together that I've made it my mission as an elected official to do everything I can to provide any resources possible so that we can hopefully someday find a cure. It is my hope that our continued partnership will bring others to the table to allow us to bring all of our voices together as almost a choir of individuals who are fighting to make a difference. So I want to thank the ALS Society of Greater Philadelphia. Thank you for allowing me to be your partner, and I look forward to our partnership continuing for years and years to come.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'm Kyle Mullins. I'm a Pennsylvania State Representative from Northeastern Pennsylvania, and it's a real honor to be here with you and to join Senator Hansen from Delaware and Senator Singleton via video from New Jersey as we stand with all of you in our fight against ALS. I'm here in the memory of my dad, whose brave fight with ALS ended just over a year ago. And I'm here to let you know what we're fighting for in our state capital in Harrisburg. And I'm here to emphasize just how much your advocacy matters in the halls of government, and I'll be introducing a few people who know a thing or two about advocacy. Whether you have ALS, love or lost somebody with ALS, or dedicate your time or treasure to the cause, as you've heard before, this is a club. It's a club none of us wish to be in. But I say, thank God there's a club to lean on. ALS came into my life not with Dad's diagnosis in early 2020, but rather years earlier. I was a young state Senate staffer who often subbed in for meetings when the boss was up on the floor in session. A newly diagnosed ALS patient and Northeastern Pennsylvania resident Paul Miller and his wife Eileen stopped in the office, heartbroken over the loss of their son who was killed by a distracted driver. And yet there they were, advocating not only for ALS funding, but for stronger distracted driving laws. I couldn't imagine the strength that took, and in my worst of dreams, I couldn't imagine that such a rare, cruel, and random illness would eventually visit our own family. I'll be honest, as a heartbroken son, I struggled with what to say today to a room full of many people who have lived with the timer that was set when the doctor came in with the diagnosis, who fight back tears or those moments of anticipatory grief, all for the sake of being strong in front of the people we care about. Speaking of grief and heartbreak, my dad raised me a New York Yankees fan. Sorry, guys. You may have heard of them. They're not really into postseason play anymore, but I did grow up in the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area and grew up with the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre Red Barons, going to many games with my father with some great memories, courtesy of some people at this table. But in the Yankee great Lou Gehrig's luckiest man in the world speech, he spoke of his wife as a tower of strength. Let's give it up for the towers of strength in this room and in our lives. You know, for a disease that's supposed to make one weaker, I'm not sure you could find a stronger room of people than this one right here. But even the strongest of people need something to hope for. And making ALS a livable, treatable disease is something to hope and pray for. That's why I'm proud to report on our ongoing work in Harrisburg, not only to provide funding, adequate funding for care services, but also toward mandating insurance coverage for biomarker testing and precision medicine, and for an historic investment in our world-class institutions who are doing research that are honing in on ALS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, and other neurological diseases. At my table, I'm sitting with Amolec's professionals, and I feel as if I'm sitting among rock stars. Thank you for what you've dedicated your lives to. So I mentioned strong people, towers of strength. You're about to meet United States Marine Randy Walker, his wife Lisa, and chapter nurse Sue Walsh, who has cared for ALS patients at Hershey Medical for over 25 years. When Randy and Lisa started advocating, the Pennsylvania budget for ALS care services was $350,000 a year. Thanks to advocates like them, and many others right here in this room, that budget has been quadrupled and stands today at $1.5 million. So I'd ask you now to turn your attention to the screens to get to know these towers of strength even better. Thank you.
This is Randy, my husband. He was diagnosed with ALS in January 2014. This has been our life ever since. He was trached 7 years ago. I take care of him at home by myself for the most part. I have a few people that help me for a few hours a week. And yeah, it's just a labor of love, honestly.
I've never met anybody like Lisa and Randy. I mean, they're just a very special couple. Randy is a fighter. He sits there and he can't move, he can't do anything, but his smile is so beautiful.
Remember them? They were all, the whole place was booming. That was fun. And when Kevin came with us our first time.
They've been involved in everything. They've been involved in all the advocating. They fight for the rights of ALS patients, of caregivers, and that's another piece of all of this. They do things, they get out, they talk to people about what is going on and what this means and what it's all about. They explain to everybody what you go through with ALS.
We participate in the ALS walk every year. We really love doing that. And then we go to Harrisburg, to the Capitol, and advocate every year. You know, this is not a very cheap disease, and the money that we raise goes towards the health services and research.
There's no better example of empowering the ALS community than through advocacy. I've been so privileged to work with people like Lisa and Randy Walker and see how they take their moments where they may have felt the weakest in this disease, where their body is not doing what it should, where they're in a wheelchair, they can't speak, or they're exhausted from being a caregiver, and yet they're able to pull themselves together and show their power together with other patients and caregivers to get us towards better public policy, better funding for ALS care, better funding for research. We couldn't do the work that we do without people like Lisa and Randy Walker.
Lisa will help you with anything. I was in hospital and she wanted to come help my husband. That's the kind of person she is.
Where would you like to go? To another beach, or?
They have found a way to continue life to the fullest by Randy Lives with ALS. They're just a great couple, and I'm honored to not only be their nurse, I am honored to be their friend. And I'm a better person for knowing them.
I want to congratulate Lisa and Randy for this award. If anybody deserves it, they deserve it.
My name is Susan Walsh, and I am proud to be a nurse for over 29 years, which is now the ALS United Mid-Atlantic. Our name tags may have a different logo, but what has stayed the same is the heart and compassion of everyone in our organization. As a nurse, I see people with ALS at the times they are the weakest. They don't know what to expect. They often turn to us for strength. The truth is, our families have more power than they realize, and they give us strength. And that includes our Flame of Hope honorees for ALS advocacy, Randy and Lisa Walker. Randy, or Reuben, as he likes to be called, is a Marine veteran who was diagnosed with ALS in 2014. He had two goals when he was diagnosed: to meet his first grandchild and to see his son graduate college. With the support of his incredibly strong wife and caregiver, Lisa, he's accomplished these goals. Next year will mark 10 years that Lisa and Randy have been battling ALS together. Since Randy's diagnosis, Lisa and Randy discovered the power of advocacy. They began sharing their story in front of legislators in Harrisburg, and they did not hold back. And I will tell you, I've been there with them, and when they go through the Capitol, the halls of the Capitol, and up those elevators and those ramps, everybody knows they're there. Lisa and Randy were not only advocating for themselves, they were advocating for all of our patients and the countless others who are on this journey. When Lisa and Randy began their state advocacy, the state of Pennsylvania, as been noted, had set aside $300,000 for ALS care services. Today, thanks to you and all of the allies like Representative Kyle Mullins and Representative Brian Cutler, Pennsylvania devotes $1.5 million annually to direct patient care. When Lisa and Randy tell their story, people listen. It doesn't take fancy lobbyists or TV campaigns. They are the stars. For all of you listening today, I say this as someone who has witnessed the strength of our families. You are powerful. Your stories are powerful. And if we all are united together and follow in the examples of Lisa and Randy, there is nothing we can't accomplish together, even a cure for this disease. Please welcome Lisa and Randy and help me say thank you for inspiring all of us through their advocacy.
Hi, everyone. We love you too. Thank you, Sue. This award means so much to me, Randy, and our family, and it means so much more coming from you. Randy and I are proud to accept this Flame of Hope Award for advocacy. When Randy was diagnosed in 2014, we didn't know what we would do. We didn't know where to turn, and we certainly didn't think we'd be advocates talking to lawmakers, but we did know that whatever we did, we would do it together. In the nearly 10 years since that word together has meant more than just us two on this stage. Our circle of friends and supporters has grown beyond what either of us could have imagined back then. Battling ALS can feel very lonely. From day one, you can have doubts about what you can actually do. It happens to all of us. But Randy and I quickly found that advocacy could be empowering. When we visit with lawmakers, they actually listen. They really do. Don't take my word for it, just look at the results. This year, advocates like us helped to secure over $3 million for ALS care across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And that doesn't even count the millions of funding for ALS research that we've helped win in Congress. But we don't just rest on our victories, we keep going. That includes fighting for veterans like Randy. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and veterans are twice as likely to be diagnosed with ALS. Joining the Marines was one of the most selfless things Randy has ever done. He continues to be selfless by lobbying for a cure and walking through the Capitol for a cure that will benefit someone else years down the line. He signed up to serve our country, and through advocacy, we get to pay that back. We are keep going, keep fighting, and keep advocating until we've done all that we need to end ALS for good. When we advocate and win, we get more funding for our care programs and especially more support for our clinics, like the care we receive at Hershey Med. I would like to thank our friends we've made at Hershey, and Laura and Pete, and everyone on Let Hope Grow, Dr. Simmons, and the entire care team. While everyone in the care team is special, one person is finally retiring after 30 years. Sue, on behalf of the entire ALS community, Randy and I want to thank you for your kindness, your wisdom, and how you make us feel powerful and valued even at our most difficult moments. It is so hard to put into words what you mean to us and to everyone here. And at this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Simmons if he can come up for just a minute to make sure the world knows just how much you are loved and appreciated. Thank you.
Lisa and Randy, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do. So, I'd like to just talk for a few minutes about Sue. You're on the cusp of retirement here. And when we began our journey about 29 years or so ago, I don't think that either of us at that time anticipated where this might take us. There was no precedent for a comparable multidisciplinary clinic at Hershey Medical Center. And unlike a chair from IKEA, which comes with instructions of how to assemble it, we had to figure it out. And fortunately, we had the unconditional support, which has been present to this day, from Ellen and from what was at that time the Greater Philadelphia chapter, now ALS United Mid-Atlantic. As everyone in this room knows, caring for and supporting someone with ALS and their loved ones requires a team. You, Sue, have been the critical factor in assembling and integrating the entire non-physician part of that team as we've grown to 4 nurses, a psychologist, a social worker, and a dietitian, all of whom are provided by ALS United Mid-Atlantic. And you have done so while incorporating Penn State Hershey personnel into that team as well: physical and occupational therapy, speech and language pathology, respiratory therapy, minimally invasive surgery, palliative care, not to mention the other 2 physicians who are part of our team. And many in this room are likely not aware of the critical role you've also played in interacting with our clinic administrators, our schedulers, and with community organizers such as hospice, home respiratory care, equipment vendors. And they may also not be fully aware of your major role in our research program, particularly our quality of life work and development of best practices through evidence-based medicine, really everything that we've done over the last 29 years. Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." You've given much, and I hope you take pride in the impact you have had on others by your words, by your actions, and by your presence. On a personal level, I cannot imagine a better partner with whom to have worked. It has really never been a traditional physician-nurse relationship, because that's really not who you are, as your friends know, and that is really not what would have served those for whom the clinic was established. This has truly been a partnership, and what a journey it's been. Thank you for allowing me to share it with you, but much more importantly, thank you for all you have done to improve the lives of those with ALS and those who love and care for them. I wish you, Megan, Gregory, your grandchildren, and all of those dear to you all the best for many, many years to come. And present you with this.
Thank you. They kept this off the program for a reason, and Tony didn't give me any pre-canned remarks to make. It has been an incredible journey. A huge professional collaboration and friendship with Dr. Simmons, the opportunity to develop care in the way I knew was possible and needed for our patients. It's been an incredible, incredible ride. I'm very, very grateful to all of my colleagues, to my patients who taught me how to do this work, because nobody knows it more than you do. Thank you.
They wanted you to open it. They wanted her to open it, so I think she should do that. And while she opens that, congratulations to Randy, Lisa. Thank you so much. To see Randy in his Marine dress uniform, recalls a time when I was also in service in the Navy, where the Marines used to tell us that those of us in the Navy really were just the junior varsity. That our job was to make sure we got those guys who fought to the right place. So let's see what it is. Oh, okay. We need a little bit more. We'll make sure it's very well wrapped. So, Dr. Simmons, thank you for those words, and Sue, congratulations on your upcoming retirement. That's going to be wonderful. Thank you for the 25 plus years of service. While we're on the subject of Randy's service, I'd just like to thank all of the men and women here who may have worn our country's uniform, as on this day we celebrate Veterans Day. It's actually tomorrow, but we're celebrating today. So I'm going to ask anybody who is able to stand who wore the uniform of our country to please stand and be recognized now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. That's I think the biggest difference since my service during the Vietnam War. Unfortunately, I didn't have to go to Vietnam. I served in the United States. But the biggest difference now is that we actually welcome back our veterans. It was pretty shameful what we did back after Vietnam. So that is heartwarming every time that we can thank a veteran for his or her service. So far, you've seen the advances we've made in ALS care and advocacy. All of you in this room right now have been part of this progress. That's why it's so important that you're here and so important that we share this afternoon together and put the message out, and hopefully you are there to help us. Now, to talk about the bright future of ALS research, we welcome Katie Diaz to the stage. Each spring, Katie hosts the Dan Diaz Biotech Breakfast in honor of her father, who passed away from ALS in April of 2018. Dan worked in the biotech industry for over 30 years. Katie is here to share some of the significant advances that have been made and are being made now in ALS research, and she'll be followed by Director of Care Services, Steve Spalding. And Steve will introduce the flame of hope in ALS research innovation. Hi.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Diaz and I'm here today because of my father. The man on the picture that might come up, he will have his 2 thumbs up. So he lived with ALS for 2 years before passing in 2018, and I am one of 3 of his kids. He never lost his spirit during this time, and I can assure you his thumbs were up, and his positive attitude around research was there over his lifetime, especially over the last 2 years of his life. Since my father's passing, I have continued his mission to do what I can to advance the cause of ALS research. I currently work in the life sciences industry at TransPerfect Life Sciences. Every spring, we hold an ALS fundraiser in my dad's memory at the PA Biotech Center here in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And we talk about the major advances to find new treatments and a cure for this disease. So I know that many of you have heard a lot of talk about research in your years attending events like this, and it also sounds like something that is years in the future. Well, I'm here to tell you that because of your united efforts and the power of scientists and individuals who participate in clinical trials, that the future is becoming real today. In 2017, while my dad was still alive, the FDA approved Radicava to help treat people with ALS. In 2022, the FDA granted Amylyx for the new treatment, Relivrio, and then Biogen approved Qalsody earlier this year, which is designed for people with the SOD1 gene mutation, showing that our focus on genetics is working. Even with technology in the last few years, we have major advances, such as the brain-computer interface. Now, I really want you guys to imagine how many times you've attended an ALS event and heard that one day we hope to have one new treatment. I have the privilege to tell you that your work is producing results and that the new treatments are being approved at a pace we only dreamed of years ago, and that together we know we can accomplish an even greater breakthrough. Thank you for coming here today to once again show how united we are to advance research. Just like my father, let's give the research the thumbs up that it deserves. Now I'm really excited to show you guys a special video about our 2024 Flame of Hope honorees. Thank you.
Any needs, any specific needs?
No. So when I was in residency, seeing ALS patients, my experience with it was just delivering the diagnosis, and I didn't really get the training of what happens after that. When I joined the neuromuscular fellowship at HSS, I got to see a lot of ALS patients, and I felt that I was misinformed, that there is a lot that you can do for an ALS patient after you give them the diagnosis. And that's actually the time when the patient and their family needs you the most. So I feel that is a need, it's growing, and we need to be here for our patients all the way.
Dr. Sedaris, I mean, she's just amazing. She's that perfect combination of extremely competent and smart, compassionate, passionate about what she does. Her patients and families love her team loves her, she loves her team, and most of all, you know, she has really put so much into this clinic that they're now expanding into research and expanding their work in a lot of different areas so that people in central and southern New Jersey are really benefiting from this tremendous center of ALS care and research.
She's the best doctor I think I could have found. That made me feel much better and not as lost as I thought I was gonna be.
You know, she's a champion of this and trying to get, you know, they're also going to be having a drug trial there. So, you know, she's a doctor that cares, and that's what matters.
Okay, breathe normally.
The team is led by a doctor who is compassionate, who is caring, who is really smart, and she leads by example. So all of the people on the team are really committed to giving the best care to the patients that come here.
This is your chair?
Yes.
How often do you?
Mary, I just want to congratulate you for receiving the Flame of Hope Award for Research and Innovation. We're looking forward to working with you for many years to come.
Tom, you did a great job in the video. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Spalding. I have the privilege of leading our care services team, which you've heard a lot about today, and you should. They're an amazing team, and they do amazing work. What's even more amazing is the partnership that exists between our clinics and care services and the whole organization of ALS United Mid-Atlantic. It makes the impossible possible. By coming together, our organizations and our chapters and our clinics, we make things happen that wouldn't otherwise happen. In a world where people can't connect with a real person, you all know it, try to call somebody nowadays and talk to a real human being in healthcare. Good luck, right? We'll talk to you in a month. Real people are on the other end of that line. Real people come to visit you in your home. Real people are there in that clinic visiting with you. And not just one person, an entire interdisciplinary team is there at that clinic visiting with you. And that is made possible because of the partnership between our organization and these clinics. It's an extraordinary model, and it makes a huge impact on the lives of everybody living with ALS and their loved ones. It also makes a huge impact on research. It makes the impossible possible. And there is hope in that, right? There is hope in the fact that our clinics are vibrant and they're pursuing meaningful research that's going to transform and is transforming this disease so it is one day livable and maybe even cured. And I have the privilege of welcoming someone who's a big part of that process, who is an extraordinary human being, an amazing physician, and has built an amazing clinic. They are wonderful partners, and I am really thrilled for her and her team to welcome Dr. Mary Sedaris.
So I always have a speech written, and I never use my speech. I just end up speaking from the heart, and I think today is going to be not any different. So really all I want to say is thank you. This is not an award that I deserve alone. This is an award for my whole team. 7 years ago when we started the clinic in Jersey, there was only one other clinic in the whole state, and we were only the second. And I was still a very young attending, a young physician. And somehow I ended up meeting a fantastic group of clinicians. We started at about 7 teammates, and now we're about 14, and we're still growing. And I wish I could have invited all of them to come today, but I have a whole team of them up here, so I'm going to ask them to stand up and receive that award with me. The truth is, once you start treating this disease, you can really never turn your back on it. A lot of our team members, when we started 7 years ago, may have cared for an ALS patient once or twice, but doing a multidisciplinary approach and seeing your teammates and how they look at the patient changes the perspective, and you realize you're really fighting for something a lot bigger than just one person or an individual. And so we've only grown more. We've never lost a team member, and we've received awards to build new programs. We have our own AAC program now, which is fantastic, and a lot of clinics would love to have that. So I'm very proud of my team members, and beyond the team that is actually there, there's also a whole lot of support that happens at home to free me. I have 3 boys, and so I have a very busy household, and my husband, who's here and drove me from Jersey, is also a physician, so hats to him too. And my colleagues who are always accommodating for me to change my schedule to be able to run the clinic. So more important than all of these, I think I have to thank our patients and their families, because they're very patient with us as we try to figure this whole ALS thing out. It really does take a village, and it will take pharma and lawmakers and patients and clinicians to beat this disease, and I can't wait to see what will happen next. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sedaris, and congratulations. Steve, thank you for those kind, welcoming remarks. I hope you can see and have seen in the last almost 2 hours, I guess a little more than 2 hours, how now we have hope, how far we've come in research since what was the Greater Philadelphia Association, ALS Association, almost 40 years ago, to where we are now. Drugs have been approved. Young people who get ALS are living longer. Older people are living with it. It is still, as it's been said so many times, not the club you want to belong to. But thank God there are people in this room who are there to help if that card ever has to be played, and you are all angels walking on earth. So from the Phillies to Tim Kirchen to the Flame of Hope Awards, you've seen it takes a whole team united to truly fight ALS. And here to put it all together and show how ALS united Mid-Atlantic, I'm still getting used to that title, and how we are ready for the future, is Executive Director Jeff Klein. Jeff?
Thank you, Scott. I swear I'll have you out of here by 5 o'clock. So let me just add my thanks, excuse me, on behalf of the organization for your attendance here today. It's meaningful to us. For the Flame of Hope Award winners, congratulations. My name is Jeff Klein. I'm the lucky guy, truly the lucky guy, who gets to be the executive director of this incredible organization. And I'm super jazzed to say officially into this microphone right here, right now, this organization known as ALS United Mid-Atlantic. That's an applause appeal. Thank you. We have a new color scheme, $20 at Boscov's. In fact, John, the fanatic held me up by my tie about 20 minutes ago, so I'm going to be sending you a bill. Okay. That name reflects a geography that more accurately describes our service area in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Now, it was referred to earlier, but for those unaware, there's a reason we changed our name. In July of 2021, the National Board of Trustees of the ALS Association, of which we were a member in good standing for decades, voted to become a single centralized organization headquartered in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately for us, that vote represented a genuine threat to our existence. Thus, along with 14 other chapters, we fought to retain our independence, emerged victorious, and are now collectively working with each other in a partnership called ALS United. A major change, yes, but in every category that matters, we're the same organization, with the same dedicated board of directors, several of whom are here today, the same outstanding staff, with the same mission, and doing the same important work for people with ALS and their families. Now, I just used the phrase important work. Friends, that is no idle phrase. You need to know exactly what I mean by that. A diagnosis of ALS changes the trajectory of one's life in an instant. And not just the person with the disease, ALS affects the entire family, as many in this room can attest. So when people who have just been diagnosed register with us, here's what happens. They're immediately assigned a social worker and a nurse, both of whom will walk alongside the patient and his or her family for the entirety of their journey. On average, we care for between 1,100 to 1,200 people with ALS each year. Thus, our care services team is sizable. We employ 5 nurses, 7 social workers, a behavioral health counselor, an assistive technologist, and a program coordinator, all led by our capable director, Steve Spalding. These amazing individuals have worked for ALS United Mid-Atlantic collectively for a total of 179 years. And get this, have worked in their professions for nearly 4.5 centuries. Talk about experience. Some of these extraordinary staff members are here today. You've seen some of them. They deserve to be acknowledged. Care Services team, please stand to be recognized. Thank you. Scott said it a minute ago, I call you guys angels, and that's the truth. So for each of their assigned patient families, our staff not only provides information, guidance, and support, they also coordinate the provision of any of the following services: in-home care, ramping, stair glides, home modification consultation, the loan of medical equipment and assistive technology devices, wheelchair accessible van transportation, support groups, recreation, and more. Everything I just mentioned, with the lone exception of complex ramping installations, for which there's a modest co-share, is provided completely free of charge to the patient and the family. So how are we able to do this? The answer is you, along with thousands of other generous and caring contributors to our organization. Also, beyond what our staff professionals do, ALS United Mid-Atlantic supports 8 multidisciplinary ALS centers and clinics throughout our region where our mutual patients receive expert follow-up care by a neurologist and a team of therapists and clinical specialists. So with us today, now bear with me, institutional names are long, but I'm going to get these in here. Today we have representatives from our ALS treatment centers and clinics at Hackensack Meridian Health Jersey Shore University Medical Center, Penn State Health Milton S. Hershey Medical Center, Jefferson Health's Weinberg ALS Center, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and the VA Medical Center in Philadelphia. So Drs. Sedaris, Simmons, Passanelli, Romano, and Quinn, please stand with your team members to be recognized. Thank you so much for what you do for our mutual patients. Thank you. Thanks for being with us. So today marks a fork in the road for our organization. We're charting a new path as ALS United Mid-Atlantic, filled with energy and determination to become even bigger and better at serving our community. At the same time, today, we honor our illustrious past and salute the invaluable contributions of the organization's founding pioneers on whose shoulders we stand. We are so enormously grateful for your legacy and promise to be good stewards of what you have created. You all got a printed program today. Folks, I encourage you to take a look at the timeline in there. It contains photos of many of our foundational pioneers, and lists some of our organization's major milestones over the years. It is a true keepsake. To our board of directors, thank you for your wise counsel and guidance, which is always invaluable. To the Philadelphia Phillies, our partners in this fight for decades, we extend our deepest thanks for your faithful and generous commitment to this cause. To our enormously talented and dedicated staff, thanks for what you do day in and day out that makes our organization run like clockwork despite the challenges of a global pandemic, a takeover attempt, and now rebranding. Your strength, creativity, and perseverance is truly astounding. And as you can imagine, it takes a lot of people to put an event like this together. So those on the staff who are here in the room, please stand and be thanked for organizing this incredible event that starts planning in March. To our patients and their families who rely on us for care and support, we will always have your back. And finally, to each of you here today, Mary Sedaris used this word a minute ago, it takes a village. Thank you for being part of our village. I think you've heard enough from me now, so it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Mark and Lori Shefsky, who drove all the way here from Hughesville, Pennsylvania, near Williamsport, to share their story with you. Mark and Lori Shefsky. Thank you.
I saw that ramp like a little kid. I had to send it. Jeff, thank you. We are extremely pleased to be a part of this celebration and honor the ALS mission. My name is Mark. This is my wife, Lori. We are joined here today by our daughter, Lauren and Alyssa, and very soon to be son-in-law Joe. We are celebrating Veterans Day. Joe just had his last tour in the Marines, So he is officially a veteran.
We recently just told Brad, Mark's brother who has special needs, that Mark had ALS because Brad could see the difference, but he didn't understand what was happening, didn't ask questions. So we explained that he had ALS, explained what it was. Brad had never heard of it. But being a sports fan, we explained Lou Gehrig's disease, then he had some understanding. So we let him absorb it, think about it for a minute. And then we said, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? And Brad said, I thought you were just drunk all the time. As you've seen here today, ALS is very challenging for both the patient and their loved ones. You all help us know that none of us are in this alone. It takes doctors, nurses, social workers, friends, volunteers, and on and on. To put it another way, it takes a team, just like the Phillies. The employees and volunteers of ALS United Mid-Atlantic get up every day and fight the fight for us and our families. It is a fight that we cannot possibly fight by ourselves. You subject yourselves to heartache daily to push for advocacy, research, and offer us support. We are happy to report that because of your efforts and coordination with Penn State, Hershey, and Healy, Mark is currently in a drug trial. And thank you very much to the donors, without whom this could not be possible. Because you are united, we, the ALS community, are empowered. We will be the ones who will end this disease. Just look what we've done together already. Greater care, success in advocacy, and research that is producing results. As you leave here today, think about those who else will join your team. Go and recruit others on our team. Tell them the stories you've heard today. Let the world know that not only can we end ALS, we will end it. If and only if we are united and do it together. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you, my friend. Great job. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our annual celebration. Thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to seeing all of you again next year when we mark 40 years with the Phillies of striking out ALS. We hope to see you all again next year. There is a floral arrangement at each one of your tables. Now, unfortunately, there aren't as many flowers at our table because the fanatic picked a few for some pretty girls at our table. But if you have your full complement of flowers, please decide on whoever you would like to have those flowers go home with. They are courtesy of Ziegler and Sons. And one more final piece of housekeeping. Please visit www.alsmidatlantic.org to learn about all the ways you can support the ALS cause, and follow us on social media for pictures and updates. Have a wonderful afternoon. Have a great weekend. Thanks again for being with us, everybody. Take care.